When the Temple Mount returned to Jewish control, a prophetic change took place, and we want to let you know in this video. It's wonderful to witness Bible prophecies come to pass. The next significant event in God's prophetic timetable is the rapture of the church. Before the rapture takes place, prophecies must come to pass. It is getting closer. It might occur at any time. Nothing can stop it except God's patient kindness and mercy. Even while there are no outward indications of the rapture, there is one important indicator that it is approaching. If a third temple is built in Israel in the future, what arrangements are now being done for it? On Jerusalem's Temple Mount, there are indications that work is being done to prepare for the construction of the third temple. We'll discuss the third temple ceremony in today's video, so be sure to stick to the end of this video with us if you want to understand everything. On October 12th, many hundred individuals took part in a full-dress recreation of the water libation performed in the Jerusalem temple under the direction of Levites playing musical instruments and led by Kohanim dressed as priests. Due in part to the nighttime water-drawing ceremony, the water libation rite was well known throughout the Second Temple period. A priest would ascend a ramp to the bronze altar in the temple court each day for 7 straight days to fill a bowl with water after the water from Siloam was removed for the water libation the following morning. The ritual began at Shah Hashpot, the dung gate in Jerusalem's Old City, where participants assembled. Kohanim priests dressed in decorated garments as instructed by scripture and Levites playing drums, violins, guitars and clarinets were among those there. They travelled from the remains of the ancient city of David via an Arab town and visited the Shiloh Siloam spring, which was used during the temple, leading the ceremonial as it descended historic stairs into the valley below the Temple Mount. 4-foot-long pure silver trumpets interrupted the pauses in the parade as the crowd yelled and danced. The chief rabbi of Jerusalem, Rabbi Ariah Stern, as well as Rabbis Dovlia Shmuel Elohu, David Chay, Hakon Ram, Hakon Man Nahum Bornstein, Yuri Chaki, and other eminent rabbis presided over the event. The gold water jug was carried at the front of the procession, and Rabbi Yisrael Ariel, the founder of the Temple Institute, was also present. A mock altar with its associated decorations had been erected in an open area adjacent to the western wall when the jug was replenished at the Shiloh pool and the procession once again went to the mountain peak. The altar was adorned with large, luscious willow branches, precisely like in the temple. The process culminated with the priestly benediction, which was accompanied by the once every 7-year Hakhel ceremony. The pitcher was filled with water, and adjacent to the western wall, a tiny shrine and accessories were built. The Feast of Tabernacles is recognized as a happy occasion for them. The Feast of Tabernacles took place when the temple was still standing, and the main event was the release of water. Large, lush willow branches made in Thum were used to decorate this shrine before they came back to speak of the mountain. The Torah no longer mandates them to carry out their actions. Since the ritual would go for more than 15 hours and the celebrations would last far into the night before the commencement of the temple's morning services, this is a time for excitement and jubilation. Kohanim travelled to the Shiloh spring at the base of Mount Moriah to fill the flask with 3 logs, or around 2 pints of spring water, before coming back to the temple for the last 6 days of the 7-day Sukkot festival. This was done in the same way that wine was liberated from the temple. Then 2 Kohanim went up to the stone altar in the inner court of the temple and placed 2 silver cups there. As one Kohanim emptied wine from the second cup and water from the first cup all at the same, both liquids ran into the holes of the altar that had been specially made for this rite. For those who made the annual pilgrimage to Jerusalem for the biblical feasts, the Pool of Siloam functioned as their starting point before they made the ascent to the inner court of the Temple Mount to present their sacrificed sacrifices. When the third temple is built, the relevance of the Shiloh pool, also known as Siloam in English and other names in Arabic, will once again become evident. They would wash in the water as part of their ritual cleansing before leaving. The pool, which is also regarded as the upper pool in the lower pool in the Bible, draws water from the Gihon spring via the Siloam Tunnel, also recognized as Hezekiah's Tunnel, which was built during the rule of Hezekiah 715 to 687 BCE to replace an earlier Canaanite tunnel that was vulnerable to assault. Archaeologists claim that the new pool and tunnel prevented besieging armies from accessing the spring's supplies. During the Second Temple era, the waters continued to flow south and were collected in a bigger pool. The pool was discovered in the 2004 summer and is still in use presently. It should be kept in mind that the year after Shemitah is favorable for the advent of the Messiah, because on that day, according to the Babylonian Thomas decree of Sanhedrin 97, I will revive the fallen booth sucker of David. The Talmud claims that the phrase in Amos 9:11, which is part of a prophecy about God bringing Israel back from exile among the nations, says that on that day, I will raise the tabernacle of David that has fallen. The 7-year cycle, at the conclusion of which the son of David would come in the first year, is what our rabbi said would be fulfilled by this passage, in the middle of narratives of the days before the Messiah. The Shemitah sabbatical year came to an end a few weeks ago on Rosh Hashanah. According to the Talmud, the Messiah will appear in the first year following the Shemitah. It is important to keep in mind how extensively the Talmud describes the difficult years leading up to the arrival of the Messiah. The priestly blessing served as the ceremony's climax. Once every 7 years, the Hakul ritual was finished, and the altar was decorated with sizable, lush willow branches as at the temple. Recently, there have been several indications that the children of Israel desire to construct the third temple. This phase includes starting the third temple's stone-cutting process, preparing ceremonial colors, creating priestly attire and utensils, and maintaining the third temple's infrastructure. Organizations are also raising money to aid in the construction of the third temple. You can only imagine how thrilled the Israelites are about all these innovations that will make it easier to build the third temple. The Bible, Josephus, and Middot were the 3 primary sources from which the plans were to be created. These ancient standards have been revised to account for the usage of electricity and other contemporary developments that are compliant with halakha, the law in order for a temple to be rebuilt today. According to Temple Institute spokesman Rabbi Chaim Richman, there have been accurate drawings for the third temple for the past 4 years. People who would enter the sacred place and do the holy chores, according to the rabbis of the temple movement, must first be ritually washed. The ashes of the Red Sea are the only means to rebuild a functioning priesthood and reinstate ceremonial purity to those Jews who have lost it due to diaspora dispersion. Despite the fact that the biblical texts are not always as accurate as we would want, 3 biblical hints point to the existence of a second temple. The third is symbolic, but the first 2 show an actual temple. Even though construction on the spiritual temple Paul mentioned is already underway, and even though there will be a physical temple throughout the millennium, one of the reasons the Feast of Tabernacles is so crucial is because it is stated so often in the Bible to highlight other significant occasions. It seems doubtful that the Jews would build another one before Jesus Christ's second coming. Participating in God's spiritual temple is the most essential use of our time and thing we can do for ourselves. Is the temple's reconstruction any closer to being completed now? Kindly let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. We sincerely hope you liked the video. If so, please click the like button, share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch even more of our amazing films. See you soon.